Hi, everyone, and welcome. This short series of videos is for you, the facilitator who trained with Everything Disc before Catalyst came along. So you'll already be very comfortable debriefing the traditional PDF Everything Disc profile. What I want to do in these sessions is to make Catalyst feel simple, useful, and familiar. We'll look at four key things. First, what Catalyst actually is and why it matters. Second, what's the same and what's different compared with the traditional PDF document that you're familiar with. Third, a quick tour of the platform. And fourth, some practical guidance on how to facilitate with Catalyst in a way that feels natural rather than overwhelming. The big message from the start is this: Catalyst doesn't replace your debriefing skill, it extends it. Most of the core disc insight is still there, but now it lives in a platform designed for ongoing use, not just a one-off report. So let's touch on what Catalyst is and why it matters. You'll see here that I'm sharing my screen and it's sat on the Catalyst homepage. And I just want to point to the navigation and get you familiar at the start with the overall layout, really focusing on this series of options to click through on the left. Now, Catalyst is really the participant's home base for ongoing disc learning. That's how I always best describe it to my delegates. It's a place that people can use in the session and then they can come back to many times afterwards. So rather than now seeing DISC as a static report that someone reads, and especially maybe reads once, Catalyst makes it much easier for people to revisit their style, to compare with other colleagues, to explore team dynamics, and really apply DISC in real situations over time. The ongoing use piece is definitely one of the biggest shifts. Traditional PDF profiles are absolutely still useful, and I still use them regularly in my sessions as a fellow facilitator. And in many ways, the content now in Catalyst feels very familiar because of that. But what Catalyst does is it helps move DISC from interesting insight into everyday application. Catalyst really supports your effectiveness in three broad ways. One, it really helps people to understand their own behavioural tendencies. Two, it helps them to recognise and adapt to co-workers. And three, really importantly, it helps to build emotional intelligence by becoming more agile in how people use it to handle on-the-spot situations. And that sits across the workplace profile that all of you have access to as default, but you may have purchased, your clients may have purchased in addition, the management and the agile EQ content. And those can all also be used in a live situation on Catalyst. So when we facilitate with Catalyst, we're not just helping people interpret a style, we're helping them to use DISC as a live working tool. So to start, I'd like to just focus on the familiar and the traditional PDF versus Catalyst, really what's the same and what's different. And as you can see, I'm sharing the homepage. And on the left-hand side, if I just scroll to here, you'll see this icon, second from the bottom on the left-hand panel, download reports. So your delegates can at any time download the reports that are showing on the system. If I just click through here, you'll see for me, as I have purchased workplace and management and Agile EQ, I could tick to download all three if I wanted. Many of your colleagues will have just purchased the workplace, so that will be where it shows here, and you click to download the report. Now, the comparison that I think most of you are interested in, the first thing to know is that a lot of the core content is the same. So most of the content that is in the PDF that you're familiar with is the same as the corresponding sections on the Catalyst platform. Although you'll note that the presentation and the organisation are a bit different. So if you learned to debrief the traditional profile well, the good news is you are not starting from scratch. Here's the important difference though. Catalyst is more interactive, relational, and ongoing. With a PDF, the experience is mostly, what does my report say about me? With Catalyst, it becomes something very different. It becomes, what does this mean when I'm working with other people in this team, in these conversations over time? There are also platform features that do not exist in the PDF. The clearest example is the one I'm demonstrating right now in your colleagues. So colleagues on the top left underneath your disc style. So this really makes the world of difference. This matters because it shifts the debrief from self-awareness only to real-time relationship awareness. So a very simple way for you to explain the difference in any sessions that you facilitate is that the PDF is brilliant for reflection and Catalyst adds interaction, comparison, team insight, and ongoing application. And a really important practical point, PDF reports are still very relevant. If in the session a learner cannot connect to Catalyst, I always recommend having the PDF profiles available as a backup because most facilitation activities that you do can still run using the profile instead.